All aboard! Next stop, Polar Express. Hi, I'm Huge Movie Fanatic Nate coming right back at you with another holiday-themed movie review. This time I'm here to review Robert Zemeckis' motion capture quote-unquote masterpiece, The Polar Express, starring, although it's not starring, I mean it's got the voice of, starring the voice, and I guess if you want to say a motion captured Tom Hanks. Now this movie came out in whenever it came out. Was it 2004 maybe? Yeah, this came out in 2004, I think the same year as Christmas with the Cranks, and I didn't see it in the theater because I don't know. I just didn't. And as I said in the Christmas with the Cranks review at the time, you know, in 04 and 05 I worked at Movie Gallery, so I was able to see this movie for free. And I imagine this came out just like Cranks the following year, like in November of 2005. I can remember at Movie Gallery, they had these cool like promo, you know how you like at Burger King you have the crown? It was like a cool promo. If I could find, I'm sure I'll be able to find a picture of one and then put it on here as I'm talking about it online. But if I can't, it'll just be me talking about it. But there was this cool promo, like, you know, like a conductor's hat or whatever, but it was just like a piece of, you know, cardboard, like the Burger King crown, that came as a promo piece, and me and this guy from like Movie Gallery, God, I miss those days, on the weekend or whatever, like Friday night or whatever, briefly wore these just for a while, and we got some kind of positive responses from some young ladies and stuff, and it was just kind of like, oh man, I just, I kind of miss those days, to be honest. So, and of course I was able to see this movie for free, and because, you know, during the holiday season I don't mind seeing holiday related movies and stuff, and I thought at the time when the movie came out, it, you know, it seemed like it was a movie that I knew I was eventually going to see when it came out in the theater, just because the kid in me kind of likes this, you know, Christmassy whatever, you know, in the snow, although it's, you know, and since it's all fake CG crap, obviously they can do snow, and they can make everything perfect exactly how they want it. And I just rewatched this as well, just like within the last week or two, and this is relatively cool. I mean, I can imagine being a kid and probably liking it a lot more being a kid. I wish in a way I could see it as a kid, but I wasn't really too much different than I am now when I was a kid, so I probably like it about the same. You know, it's definitely got that, which I really go in for, you know, living in the Midwest in the winter and stuff. It's really got that cozy, like, just, you know, perfect Christmas, like, winter feel to it, you know. And of course, you know, the lifeless, you know, motion capture faces are kind of annoying. I mean, the best visual effects are just like, I don't know. A lot of times it's just like you're watching like cutscenes on video games, and it's just like, you know, having, you know, post-Avatar and everything like that, going back and watching this movie is like pretty laughable. But now this is based on a story as well, I think, but it's a relatively competent movie, it's like 90 minutes or whatever, and it does what it does, and it does it fairly competently. And like I say, it's this, kind of reminds me of being a kid in a movie I probably would have really liked to see as a kid, and it's just got this overall cozy, safe, there's a cozy, safe feeling about this movie, you know, the kid who is doubtful of Santa, and if Santa's real, and I don't personally as an adult think he is. I think Santa's a bunch of bullshit, personally myself, but that's just me. But this kid who's doubtful of Santa, and he's going to bed, and then before you know it, this train, there's all this ruckus outside on the street or whatever, snow-covered street, and this train pulls up, and it's like Polar Express, and it's Tom Hanks, and he's a conductor, and all this and that. If they would have got Ben Johnson, that would have been so cool. I don't know when, I don't know when he died. He might have been dead at the time, but that would have been cool to have Ben Johnson's voice. As a conductor, how cool would that have been? But for me, it's fine. You know, this movie actually, I was surprised having rewatched it to find out that it's actually rated G. And very few movies that I have are actually rated G, and I was very surprised to see in retrospect that it's rated G, because there's so much in this movie that I would regard as like Pearl, which is like dangerous, potentially dangerous, scary scenes. I mean, the whole movie, it's like more scary than like Saw. It's just like all of that kind of dizzying like roller coaster train ride and being on the roof and in these freezing temperatures and being stuck on the front of the train going down the tallest tallest hill in the world, and it's got a lot of dizzying height stuff. I'm really surprised it's rated G because there's a lot of, it's almost more disturbing than a lot of horror movies for me, just as if you're like afraid of heights and just like being trapped on the front of a locomotive going a billion miles an hour down a, you know, complete vertical grade and stuff. It's pretty, it's got a lot of like hyper just action crap, whatever, you know, hyper ADD producing crap. So that's something that's kind of annoying about it, just being an adult and not a kid who doesn't, you know, really appreciate all that kind of roller coaster crap. But, you know, it's okay. For me, the movie is like really cool when they like actually get to the North Pole, and I gotta tell you that's when the last time I saw this movie was probably like 3 years ago because I got the Blu-ray, and I remember 3 years ago when I saw it last, like being like, I really like when they pull into the North Pole and at whatever point when they get out of the train and it's like the Christmas tree, like this grand orchestral like version of the Christmas tree, like oh Christmas tree, it's just, I love that tune, and I loved how the tune was you know, just grand orchestrated for that particular moment. And it's just like, oh, it should be said that Alan Silvestri does the score for this movie, which is fantastic, and he, along with some other guy, wrote some, you know, songs like Christmas, like new Christmas songs for it. And unfortunately there's like a musical number which I kind of think is, I don't know, it's once it starts you're kind of like, oh shit, but I guess the song is good enough where it's just like, it doesn't bother me too much, you know. It's kind of Christmassy and cool and whatever. So it's basically just about, you know, this train that picks up these kids, these random kids or whatever, and there's this cool musical number where they give them hot chocolate, and then it's just like going on the roof, and he does a Forrest Gump Leaf thing with the train ticket, and he chases the train ticket up onto the, or no, he goes up, he chases, yeah, they think he's gonna, Tom Hanks is gonna kick this girl off the train, so he traces, for some reason, Tom Hanks takes this girl, instead of through the cars, on the roof, to the train, takes her on the roof so he can take her to the, you know, what's it called, the front part of the engine of the train, so she can drive it, whatever. Anyway, for me the best part of this movie, I mean, I don't know, I'm kind of conflicted, but for me I really like the movie when it gets to, like, the magic of the movie is really, even as an adult, it kind of gets to me. That's because all of them, like, classic Christmas songs are orchestrated in this beautiful, grand way, like Old Christmas Tree song and Peace and other stuff, you know. And I think it's really kind of cool when the kids, you know, the kids' cart at the end in North Pole, the kid's car, you know, accidentally gets detached from the rest of the train, and you get through the kids' eyes you get to see the inner workings of what's going on. I thought was a really great plot point. Instead of just seeing it from the outside, you get to see like the last present that was put on the thing, and then how it all worked on the North Pole. So like I say, I probably really would have liked this movie more as a kid, but whatever. I think the last act of this movie has a even as a grouchy, Grinchish adult, I can really say that the movie is so magical at the very end with the North Pole stuff and all the elves and doing what they do and all this, that, and transporting the presents to the sleigh, and a really cool bit, which is really awesome, when they bring the reindeer out and all the elves have to like pull them to keep them, like they're just floating and like prancing and stuff, and the elves have to like pull on them to weight them down so they don't like float away. Those details are like really cool and magical, and the end of this movie really kind of wins me over, and so I'm going to go 2.5 stars for Polar Express. It's the first half of it is kind of just like mumbo jumbo, just like, I don't know, whatever. I mean, obviously it's a kiddie, you know, fantasy movie, but one thing I do like about it and the CG-ness of it is they really captured winter and the snow and all this, and that really well in the way that I like how the train slides up onto this big, huge frozen lake or whatever in that scene, and even though it's just completely hogwash crap, unrealistic crap, you can't look at this movie as being like, well, that's not realistic. I mean, it's an adventure, fantasy, whatever kids movie. So, 2.5 stars for Polar Express. Polar Express, obviously, being in a post-Avatar world, the motion capture, especially on the faces, is just laughable as all in hell. And I think ever since Avatar, I think Robert Zemeckis isn't probably going to do another motion capture movie after that, because why bother? But thank you very much for watching. Feel free to let me know what you think of Polar Express in the comments, and have a holly jolly Christmas and all that kind of stuff. And in closing, the cool plot point was the whole movie is basically the kid doesn't believe in Santa, and it's just like he can never hear a bell, but all of a sudden when he believes, the bells he can hear and all that kind of stuff. Cool. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.